Hi everybody, it's Melanie from Art Off Center. Welcome to the Clay Club. We're going to make a little pinch pot bird today. So here's one that's kind of like really decorated that I made a while ago. But it's two little pinch pot and some slab and coil parts. So what you're going to need is two little balls of clay about the size of a golf ball, another little walnut sized ball of clay, a little bit of a slab of clay. Tools you're going to need is, your slip, a little tiny bucket of water will help. I've got a couple cookie cutters, some cornstarch. Let's see, I've got my pottery knife. You can use an old butter knife. My favorite, a fork. Sponge will help. Bamboo skewer, very helpful. Paintbrush, and I also have a little old hairbrush that is like my favorite paddle for clay. And we have, rubber ribs. You can use the wood rib that comes in the pottery tool kit. I've also got some plastic doilies here, a little texture tool that I got off Amazon, a little roller. So let's get started. Okay, so pinch pots. So with the pinch pot, what you're going to do is you take a little ball of clay, cup it in your hand, and what you're going to do is I'm going to stick my thumb in here and I'm going to try to leave about, an 1/8 of an inch to a 1/4 inch thickness on the bottom. So I'm going to stick my thumb in there pretty hard, hit the bottom, not all the way through, just leave a little bit, and I'm going to pinch and turn while I've got that ball of clay cupped in my hand. Pinch and turn, and once I've got my bottom pinched, I'm going to raise my hand up a little bit here, and I'm going to pinch and turn another row above it, still cupping that in my hand. And once I get all the way around, I'll raise my fingers up again one more time, and I'm going to pinch and turn. So I've got one small, looks like a little tiny bowl of clay. I'm just kind of evening that out, and you want two of those. So again, tiny pinch pot, you're going to pinch and turn. Raise your hands up a little bit more after you get through your first rotation. Rotate it around. Fix that edge, and then pinch and turn the next set. There. And then I'm just going to pinch it a little bit more just to even that out so that it's about, anywhere between 1/8 and a 1/4 inch thick. Now I'm going to take my fork and I'm going to score this edge. And scoring should look like, hash marks, up, down, left, right. You want to go all the way around the rim, that little bowl. I'm going to put this down and I'm going to grab the other one. Don't worry about it being a little uneven, that's okay. And I'm going to slip and score. I'm scoring mainly, and I'm just using a little water from the water bucket there. Now, I'm going to take a little slip from our slip container. You should have gotten some in your clay kit. Now, dry my hands on my rag over here. So take your two pinch pots, and, inevitably it's going to have, one side that's a little wonky. A little high, a little low. But if you kind of turn the pinch pots in your hand, you'll see that you'll find a good position where they both meet. Like this one's got a dip and this one's got a raised spot there. So you want those edges to meet. Push them on with your fingers. And you're going to see slip kind of ooze out of that connection. Ready? And I'm going to give it a little wiggle. Looks like it's starting to stick. Dry my hands off. And now I'm going to use the pad of my thumb and my finger, and I'm going to close that gap up. So I'm trying to keep air in there. And just seal that little ball of clay up. You want it to hold some air, so keep pinching a little clay around there, twisting that guy around, covering up that little seam. And I am of some of these little marks with my finger. I'm just using my thumb to smear it down. Make it look a little bit more shiny. No cracks. But if it comes apart a little bit, just smear a little bit more clay across. The clay should be good and wet with that slip and the scoring that you did. Okay, so now I've got a little ball of clay. It's holding some air in there. So I'm going to take my paddle and I'm going to change the shape of this ball of clay, and it will look more like an egg for the body of the bird. So with the paddle, I'll take this guy, the flat side, and I'm going to paddle, you know, what I don't think is the prettiest side flat, so I'm just going to give it one good pat, a couple pats, and get that flattened off. Now with the paddle, I can change the shape a little bit, so now it just looks like, you know, a flat, round ball. You can paddle that to get it to look more like an egg. So I'm going to put a little bit of a point on this side, and it'll be more rounded on this side. And I just paddle up and over. And what this does is this compresses the clay in. If it's coming apart, just smear a little bit more clay across those openings. Just use your finger to smear it. Smooth it down. Get rid of those. Get rid of those crack marks. So it got a little too dry there. It's okay. He'll hang in there. No worries. Okay. So let's make it look more like an egg. The main section, the main part of the body. So now it looks, you know, it's got more of an egg shape now. It's got a point on the end. I'll just use my fingers. A little bit of water here to fix that little cracky bit. No big deal. We're going to put some more stuff on here, so that'll all get covered eventually. But with the paddling, you're compressing and just changing the shape with just, you know, pressure by paddling it, by hitting it. Pretty simple. Okay, so we're going to put this guy down. Now we're going to make the head. So again, you need just another little tiny bit of clay. You can just roll it in your hands. Again, this is to make the head, and it's going to be a small ball of clay. Just going to smear off some of the little wrinkly bits, because your hands are always drying the clay as you roll it in your hands. Okay, so got it rolled up about the size of a walnut, and I'm just going to tap it on the tabletop to flatten out one side. And that's where the head is going to be attached to the body. And again, you know, just check before you put it on that you've got the right size. Does it look like it's correct? If it's too small, add more clay. Roll your clay ball again. If it's too big, just pinch a little bit more off. Roll it one more time and just bring it down in size. So he looks like it's the right size, so I'm going to score with my fork the bottom, the flat side, and where I'm going to attach it on my body section. I'm going to score in that little area. I'm going to tap just a little bit of extra slip from my slip container, and you should have gotten that in your clay kit. Okay, now I'm going to take the head and I'm going to hold the body in my hands, and I'm just going to press that on, and you should see the slip ooze out of that connection. And I'm just using my fingers to kind of push the edges down to kind of flatten the clay ball down to the head section. It'll look basically like a gumball to start with there. All right, looks like it's on in the right position. All right, we're gonna let that set up. Now we're gonna deal with the wings and the tail. So I've got a little slab of clay here that I've rolled down with my little wooden roller. could use like a dowel, piece of PVC. I always flip this because it tends to stick to the rollers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to texture this so that I've got a pattern on the wings. So I'll take my little doily here. I'm going to press it down with my roller in one part of the slab. I'm saving a little bit for the tail. Double check. When I got it over there far enough, I'm going to use the round cookie cutter for the wings, and I'm going to press it down with the roller. This one's got a small end and a big end. And you want to see the clay squish up between the texture that you're putting on there if you're using like a doily, you know, or a piece of lace or something like that. So I'm going to take my cookie cutter, dunk it in my cornstarch. Sorry, I forgot to mention we did have a little cornstarch for this. And that's so the cookie cutter doesn't stick. I'm going to push my round cookie cutter down until I feel the table. Grab my pottery needle tool here, cut that loose, just give this a little turn. Push this over to the side. And push that out. Now for the wing pattern, from a round circle, all you have to do is you're going to cut what looks kind of like a stick bird chicken foot almost, without the center toe on that. So I just bring my knife down till it's about almost a third of the way from the end, cut straight, and then cut a triangle and another triangle here. That was a little bit more of a curve, but that's okay. And now I've got two little wings with texture on there. So the wings are going to go right on the side of the body, somewhere around there. They're still a little wet and sticky, so I'm just going to put them on there. Now I've got a little square cookie cutter, perfect for this little size bird. So again, I'm going to dunk it in my cornstarch so it doesn't stick. I'm going to grab my other texture tool. I've got a little roller that I got off of Amazon with a different texture, and I'm going to roll that pattern on this little extra bit of the slab and cut a little square for his tail. Again, push down so you feel the table. Use my needle tool to cut that scrap loose. I'm going to put my scraps into my bag of clay. I'm trying to keep my scraps wet so you can keep that clay usable. Push that out on a little square cutter. And with my pottery knife, looks like I missed a little bit up here, so I'm going to cut a little curve here for the top of the tail. So I'm going to do just a little tiny curve right there. And then off that angle, I'm just going to cut in and take a very elongated triangle piece off the side, off each side of that piece there, the part that we cut for the tail. I'm going to scrape this a little bit with my pottery knife, and that's where the tail is going to attach to the body, right there. Okay, so the head's still setting up, but I can now attach the wings. So I'm just going to double check that the wings are setting. I'm looking straight down over the top of the little pinch pot bird here. And I'm going to take my skewer with the pointy end. It looks like they're kind of even right there on the bird. I'm also leaving enough room to put the tail on the back side of this. So I'm just going to do a little mark right here where I know the top of the wing goes. Peel that off, and I'm going to score the little tiny area here. Where that one wing goes, I'm going to score the front part of the wing. And I'll take a little slip from my slip bucket, dab it on. Get wing number 1 on there, and I'm going to push it down so I see the slip oozing out of that connection. That's what you want to see. That's a good solid connection there. Don't worry about the slip, we'll get that in a minute. I'm going to do the other side, slightly below my little mark there. Score with my fork. Take my wing. I'm going to score just the front part of that because I want the wings kind of coming away from the body. I don't want them right on the body. And again, it's all depends on how you want your bird to look. You can have it tucked against the body or not. Really up to you. So I'm going to place it there, kind of eyeball the other wing on the other side, make sure that they're kind of even. I'm putting them on there. And I'm going to ease that guy down. I don't want to see the slip kind of ooze up out of that connection. I'll just look at it, you know, from the front, make sure I've got them side to side where I want them. And I want the wing out there just a little bit, so. Okay, 2 wings on there. Now, I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to just get rid of some of this water on this, and I'm just going to take my paintbrush and get rid of some of this slip and just make sure that the front part of the wing connections are on there. I'm also going to get the slip out from underneath its head. You see, I've got a little crack there, so we'll fix that. Get him connected. There we go. Just clean him up a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the tail section on there. It looks like it's on there pretty evenly. A little wonky. Still can slip and slide it a little bit, so want those wings on there good and tight. So now I'm going to put the tail right on the little pointy bit on the kind of the tip of the egg section there. So because it's a smaller area, I'm going to use my needle tool, so I'm going to score the bottom of the tail very gently. I'm going to score right down here above the tip, the back side of this little egg shape here, the bird shape, right where I want the tail to go, somewhere right here. So I'm going to score that little area. I'm going to dab a little slip on the tail section. It's almost too much, but let me just wipe a little off there. And I'll very gently push that tail on that little tail section. And just ease it there. And what I'll do on the back side here is I'm going to take the pad of my thumb and I'm just going to smear this clay down so it gets a good solid connection. Alrighty. So we'll give him a little bend. Good. So now we've got the head, the wings, the tail on there. Now with the skewer, get some extra clay here. I'm going to grab some of the wet stuff out of the bag. With the skewer, I'm going to make the little indentations where the eyes go. So I'll take the little flat end of the skewer and I'm just going to press in, like here's my center mark, kind of right there where that little clay from my finger came off. And so I'm just going to press in and roll it a little bit and roll it back. I'm going to take the skewer on the other side, press in, roll it back. So now I've got 2 little sockets where the eyes go. They're a little uneven here. Let me see if I can fix that. So press this one up a little bit. There we go. Fixed. The clay's good and wet. All right, there's 2 little eye sockets. So now I'm going to put 2 little bitty eyes in there. I'm just going to take 2 tiny, tiny little bits of clay, about the same size. Those are just minuscule. I'm going to roll them in my hand to make 2 little bitty, tiny coil balls. It's just a little bigger than the other one. I'll just pinch a little bit off that one, make it smaller. And these things are so tiny that I can just literally dip the end of these in the slip and stick them in that little eye cavity, and they're going to stay. You don't have to score on things that are so tiny. Score that in there, excuse me, slip it in there. Take the other one, same, I'm just gonna dip it, that very end of it in the slip. Too much slip on my fingers. And I'm gonna poke that little, push the little tiny coil ball into that little eye socket there. 2 little bitty tiny eyes. And I'll take my paintbrush and just get some of that slip back out of there. Kind of tidy it up. Fix, fix, fix. Okay, now for the bird beak. We're going to make a little tiny cone of clay, depending on the bird that you're making. So this one, I'm just going to clip some of this off with my pottery knife. I just use my fingers. Let's take a look at it. Let's see if that is too big or too little. It's almost too big, doesn't it? So just take a little bit more off. Make it smaller. That looks more appropriate. So now I'm going to score with my needle tool in that tiny, tiny area, little bitty score marks right between the eyes, where I'm going to put the bird beak on. Put a little tiny bit of slip on there. And press it on. See the slip oozing out of that connection. That's what you want to see. So when it dries, it will adhere. Your slip is basically your clay glue. And I'll take my paintbrush, get a little bit of that water off on our table here. It's got canvas on the tabletop. So I'm going to move some of that slip out of the way so I can see the connection. And just refine, what it looks like. Alrighty. And from here, it's just decorating. We're getting it ready to come back to the studio. This little tail is kind of flopping down. Get the wings out there the way I want them to look. Just let it set up. Now, if you bought the Underglaze kit from us, this is the perfect time. Once it gets just a little bit harder, you can set up for just a few hours. You can come back and decorate it with Underglaze. So the Underglaze kit has got the primary colors. It's got red, yellow, blue. It's got a green. It's got a black and a white in there. So you can decorate everything while it's still in what we call leather hard stage. So this guy needs to set up for a little bit. I can decorate it, and then we can get it in the kiln. Now, before I bring it in and let it get totally too hard to change anything, I'm also going to put a little hole in the bottom so he doesn't blow up in the kiln. So I'm just going to use my bamboo skewer, put a little tiny hole in there. That's going to release the air. You may hear a little hiss. That's normal. You're letting the air out of the little clay ball, basically. And then let it set up. And now you got a little clay bird from 2 little pinch pots. All right. Got a couple of them here. I hope to see your clay kit birds coming into the studio soon. These will be really fun to see if the kids can do these. Super fun, very easy. Okay, I'm going to sign off, and we're dying to see some of your creations coming back in. So get them to us. We'll get them fired. I'm just excited to see what everyone's making at home. So have fun, and bye for now. Hey everybody, bye.